Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my March reading wrap up, so let's just get on to it. I read 7 books this month, so it wasn't the best month. Like, I didn't read as much as I wanted to, but that's okay. It's alright. Like, I'll have months where we don't read as much as we want, but this is still a lot. It doesn't matter how many books you read, but I did want to read more, but it's fine. Okay, so we're going to start off with the first book that I read in March. The first book that I read was The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This book I gave a 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I felt like it was a little bit slow in some parts. Some of it was kind of uninteresting to me, but here's the synopsis of the book if you want to know. It is a small town romance trope, so that's like the main trope of it. It kind of reminds me of It Happened One Summer, where the girl is like more accustomed to the city life and then she goes to the small town, and it kind of gives me that vibe. She goes to the small town because of something happening with her father, which is very sad, and that's like the main part that made me cry throughout this book. Like, I did cry at the end, which I didn't expect to cry, but I did. And that whole situation is really, really sad. She meets a grumpy pilot, and that's basically how their story goes. This book was relatively good. I wouldn't say it's one of the better books I read, but it was a decent book. The back, I remember when I was doing my book haul for this, where I was like, I picked it up because it said a master of steamy romance. Absolutely not. It's not that it was fade to black, but like, you didn't really get anything, so I don't know what steamy romance they read, but I definitely did not read that in this book, but that's okay. This book wasn't anything special, but I did enjoy it. It was a 3.5, so if you like small town romance, you could enjoy this, so there's that. Then I read the newest release of the Eden series by Daphne Perry. It is Jasper Vale. This follows Eloise and Jasper. Eloise runs the Eden hotel, which is called the Eloise. Jasper is like her sister's husband, foster, trainer. So that's how Eloise and Jasper found out about each other, knew each other. And one night in Vegas, Eloise and Jasper end up getting married. Just end up getting hitched. They decide to continue being married. They both have reasons as to why they want to stay married. Eloise wants to prove to her family that she's responsible, and since she got married on a whim, she doesn't want them to think she's irresponsible because she got married on a whim, so they are saying that they did it because of love. And Jasper wants to bring Eloise as a date for his ex-girlfriend's wedding. So that's that. I gave this book a 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much more than Garnet Flats. Let me tell you, this book was so good. Still not the best in the series. Juniper Hill will still continue to be the best, and I don't foresee that changing. But this book was good. I enjoyed it. I thought the connection and the tension between Eloise and Jasper was perfect. And Daphne Perry never fails at small town, and I will tell you that. If you are a small town lover, the Eden series, you have to read it. So that's the second book I read. Then I read my favorite book of this month. Be prepared. I read All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. This is a small town slow burn single dad trope. Doesn't that sound perfect? That is literally everything I could ever want in a book. I'm not even kidding. It is so good. It goes back to her hometown where her and her mom were, and she moves into this garage apartment, and that garage apartment happens to belong to Rhodes, who is the male main character in the story, and Rhodes is a single dad to Amos. I thought that the friendship between Aurora and Amos was just so pure and cute, and I loved it. Seeing both Amos and Rhodes open up to Aurora and make her a part of the family, so there's kind of a found family aspect, was so cute. And I thought Aurora and Rhodes' relationship was top tier, one of the best relationships I've ever read about, and I don't know why. I just felt like Mariana Zapata left a lot of hints and crumbs that showed parts of Rhodes' personality more than she did in From Luke Off with Love. I think this book is far superior to From Luke Off with Love. If you're gonna read a Mariana Zapata book, read this one, because Rhodes is just such a likable male main character, like I just thought he was perfect. Like maybe that's just me, but I thought he was like a perfect male main character because you saw like him caring for Aurora before it was even like established that he even liked her, like in the book. And because it's a slow burn, obviously you don't get to them like being together until like you're 90% of the way through the book, but I thought that made it so much more special because like I was like highlighting and underlining anything he ever said to her that was remotely like I was like holding on to the crumbs that we were receiving in this book. It was so good. I cannot even talk about it enough. I love it. You should go read it. I'm gonna show you like an annotated page. I don't know what was wrong with me. Like I don't know the reason as to why like I was going crazy and feral over this book. Like I don't annotate my books like this. Like I do not annotate books like this. This is not the normal for me. And I was like going crazy. So if that doesn't say something, I don't know what will. But go read this book. It's amazing. 5 stars. Highly recommend it. Thank you. You will not regret. It is worth all the 500 something pages that it is. So read it. Then I decided to pick up If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This is a book that was in one of my book hauls, and it's a very sad book. Sarah Crowley is the one who influenced me to get it, and I saw Haley Pham read it in one of her videos, so I just knew I had to pick it up and read it. It is about Autumn and Finn, and this takes place in high school. It is a YA story, and basically it just follows them throughout their high school life and like their relationship, and it is very sad. So if you're wondering, it's not a happy ending, so just go into that cautiously. I will say I did sob. I did have a reading blog where I read this in it, and I did cry on the internet, which was so perfect for me. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75 because while I did enjoy it and it was very emotional and I was connected to the story, I felt like some parts of it were really dull and boring. Like, I understand that we were going through Autumn and Finn's journey. Like, I understand we were seeing how their story played out and like why it hurt so much in the end. Like, I understand why we saw all of that because it made the hurt at the end much more impactful. Like, it was kind of boring to get through. But I still really enjoyed it regardless. I read this really fast. It's really easy to read, so I recommend it to anyone. Just be prepared to cry. So then I read my second favorite book of the month. Like, I cannot get over this book. I read Scarred by Emily McIntyre. I gave this book a 4 stars, and the more I think about it, the more I want to rate it higher. That's how good it is. I also read this in that same reading blog. This book is based on The Lion King, so it is part of her Never After series where she takes fairy tales and gives the villain the happily ever after and all of that stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I thought it was super interesting. But this book is about Sarah and Tristan. Sarah is arranged to marry Tristan's brother, who is the king of this like town, and Tristan is like jealous of his brother, thinks he shouldn't have the crown, and you know, wants to basically take the crown from his brother. But he ends up falling in love with Sarah, and I thought that their relationship and tension and the way it was built up was so perfect. Like, I am a sucker for like tension, and then that release when they finally get together or they finally like admit their feelings is the best feeling in the entire world when you're reading a book. And this book delivered that so perfectly. I cannot express to you enough how amazing the delivery of the tension and romance and anything was so amazing in this book. Like, I completely recommend it. If you really like Bridgerton season 2, and I've said this in like that reading vlog, but if you like Bridgerton season 2, this book you will absolutely devour. Now, it is a dark romance, so it's has a lot of morally gray stuff. Not even morally gray, like just like things that you need to like push your morals aside for. But like, if you can look past that and get through the dark romance, it's not that bad. But like, to some people it could be. Like, to my best friend, I know she would not read this, but like, if you can get past that and just see how much he was like willing to do anything for her, such a good romance. Like, I loved it so much. So it very much reminds me of Bridgerton season 2. The same tension, the same like, we shouldn't be together but I want you so badly. Like, that tension that was in Bridgerton season 2 is basically this book. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I think I've talked a lot about this book, but I completely recommend it. Just, it is a dark romance, so I would beware of that. But yeah, loved it. 4 stars. Go read it now. Thank you. Then I read In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. My most disappointing read of the month. I saw Steph Bohr talk about this, which is why I got it. I'm gonna say it's bad, but it's definitely not. I haven't thought about it since I read it. Like, and this book is like 400 and something pages for a romance, which I know I read Lucy Score, but like her books are better than this. Sorry, oh my god. But it's basically a single dad's small town romance, second chance, ishy, and forced marriage. So all of those tropes I absolutely love. Like, romances with those tropes I devour. Like, I think they're so good. But something about this one just didn't hit. Like, it didn't hit for me at all. I felt like it was bland, dull, boring. Like, I feel like nothing happened in these 400 pages. And like, stuff did happen, but it felt anticlimactic. I felt like they were in love with each other since the beginning, which is not what's happening in this book, but it felt like it. There was no tension, there was no like release, and what was supposed to be the release when they like got together was anticlimactic for me and fell flat. So I don't want to like hate on the book, but I gave it a 3-star. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. So maybe you'll love it if you love all of those tropes. I know that some people absolutely love it, and I love that for them. I just felt like I didn't enjoy it, which is really strange because I don't know, love all those tropes. So, but you know, it just fell a little flat for me, and that's okay. But it was agonizing to get through, I will tell you. Like, I did not want to like, not that I didn't want to finish it, but like I didn't want to finish it. But I don't DNF books really, so I did finish it, but at what cost? I don't know. And then the final book that I read was Wretched by Emily McIntyre. This is the 3rd book in the Never After series. It is based off Wizard of Oz, and the female main character is the villain in the story. So she's the one that gets her happily ever after. It follows Evelina, who is a part of a sketchy, dangerous family, and Nicholas is a secret agent who goes undercover and like mingles his way through her family. So it's kind of like forbidden. They're kind of enemies a little bit. Let's talk about my feelings towards this book, because I gave this book a 3.75. I honestly don't know my feelings, because I will say flat out, I think Scarred is going to be the best book in this entire series. I think nothing can beat Scarred in this series. Hooked didn't beat it by a long shot. This one didn't beat it. Like, and I have Twisted, and I'm going to read that soon, but I honestly don't know if it's ever going to beat Scarred. I honestly didn't feel the emotional connection that I was supposed to be feeling. I didn't feel like, I just didn't feel it. Like, I felt the sexual connection. This is not a slow burn in any way like Scarred was. They basically do it in like the first 10 pages. I'm not opposed to that in books. Like, as much as I do prefer tension, I'm not opposed to that. So that's not what made me not like enjoy this book as much as I could have. It was that I felt like they didn't have the emotional connection as much as they had the sexual connection, like that we obviously see. I felt like the emotional connection was not there, and I felt like it wasn't enough for me to root for them entirely. But that's just me. I feel like maybe I don't know, I read this really fast. Maybe I like glanced over some like small details. Could have made me root for them and like see them in an emotional way, but I felt like the emotional connection and love was not there. Like, for the ending that we got, I felt like I was like, okay, like I was like, but I wasn't rooting for them in any sort of way, you know? So I don't know, that's kind of odd, but I will say the sexual connection in this book was amazing, and the smut scenes in this book were top tier. I really enjoyed that aspect of the book. Thank you. Yeah, so it gave it a 3.75 because it wasn't a 4-star like Scarred, but it wasn't like the worst thing ever, obviously. I enjoyed it. Like, when I tell you dark romances, I'm not gonna get like, unless you're like really bad, I'm not gonna give a dark romance below a 3 stars because you entertain me. Like, dark romances entertain me like no romance can. Like, I just think I read them so much faster because I'm so entertained the entire time. Like, it's so drama filled that I'm like, I need to keep reading, and that's exactly what the Never After series has been doing for me. I'm so entertained. I just want to keep reading and reading. Emotionally, didn't click with it. I would still recommend the entire Never After series so far. So these are all the books that I read this month. It was a relatively okay reading month. It definitely wasn't the best, but I did have a 5-star and an almost 5-star. Scarred is like up there. I keep thinking about it all the time, so I don't know. But I had some books come out of this, some not so good, but that's okay. That's today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of my face. I do a reading wrap up every month, so look forward to that. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.